Business leaders, we want to welcome you back to another week of the ongoing series we have from the Cybersecurity Leadership Council here at the Salt Lake Chamber. This is our fall conference, of course, broken out into a number of weekly webinars throughout October and November. So we just have a couple left, but we're glad you're here with us today. I want to remind everybody that anyone who participates and who logs on to watch one of these webinars will be entered into an opportunity drawing for a Series 5 Apple Watch. That's been kindly contributed from Strong Connections, one of our council members and one of the sponsors for this series. So thank you to them for that. And just remember to pay attention to as many of these as you can. We're tracking participants. The more of these webinars you attend, the more chances you get for that opportunity drawing that we'll do on the last session in the last week of November here shortly. So today we're taking another look at securing devices at home and at work. Our presenter is Alexei Stepanenko from Alex, and as he's presenting, make sure to think of questions or thoughts you have. Go ahead and plug them into the Q&A feature here in the Zoom platform. At the end of his presentation, we'll have a chance to have some discussion and some questions and answers back and forth. So without further ado, I'd like to turn the time over to Alexei Stepanenko with Alex to talk to us about securing devices at home and at work.
Hello everyone, my name is Alexei Svedenyuk, and I am an information security consultant at Alex. Alex is an international software development company working across different domains, from banking to autonomous drones, with the clients of different size, from huge enterprises to small startups. We are trusted with our clients' most sensitive information, and it's crucial for our business to keep that information safe. As a result, it's vital that we teach our own employees how to protect themselves from the cyber threats. Because making the whole organization safe is only possible when everyone contributes to the common goal of the cybersecurity. Today, we would like to share with you our 30 years experience of protecting our clients' digital assets. We live in a digital world where an increasing number of our day-to-day activities have migrated online. We work, communicate, conduct commerce, and interact online, and our reliance on the cybersecurity has increased accordingly. Welcome to our presentation, and thank you for your interest in cybersecurity. Today, we will talk about securing devices at work and home. Let's begin with how to secure devices at work. Because keeping device secure is a never-ending process, and it's all but impossible to be secure 100% of the time. But there are a number of things that you could do to enhance your security. So, we will start with the basic things that should be a part of any best practices and awareness, and we will finish exploring more advanced endpoint security and management systems. These days, even a child can watch a YouTube video and learn how to crack your Wi-Fi setup. But there are far larger threats from highly skilled professionals who use any numbers of automated solutions to exploit any weaknesses and opportunities to steal your personal data and secrets, and to break your business access anything of value. And that's why it's so important to be aware of security threats, their consequences, and cyber hygiene. That's why it is essential to conduct security training with employees on a regular basis. Cyber hygiene should be as common for everyone as body hygiene. Cybersecurity threats are extremely inventive. Master of disguise and manipulations, these threats constantly evolve to find new ways to annoy us, to steal our data, and harm us. It's easy to prevent a threat than it's to deal with the consequences. That's why better to follow these simple recommendations. There is something our previous speakers have mentioned, and we will emphasize it one more time. One of the most important security measures is to set your password to be at least 8 characters long with the special symbols and upper lowercase. Do not use easily predictable words or phrases like I love you or QWERTY or 12345 because hackers have rainbow tables with a hundred of thousands of possible combinations. They need only a few hours to find the right one if the password is weak. Set up a unique password for each system and store them all in a password manager, where you can create the passwords that comply with the best practices, where you can rotate them, and just make sure they are strong. You should set up an MFA or multi-factor authentication. Your password can be easily compromised, but MFA immediately increase your account security by using 2 or more independent channels to prove your identity. You can use SMS, voice, what else, second emails, or security application, or token. So with an MFA, an intruders can crack your app password, but they also need to crack your second authentication channel in order to get access. For example, they have to steal your phone or crack your second email, which is more complex. Never ever use a pirated or cracked software, not just because it's a copyright violation, but because it could also have a backdoors or malicious code integrated or time bombs, and it could harm you. That's why download and install only from trusted resources, official websites, or corporate repositories, or well known app stores. Every day, new vulnerabilities appear, including so called zero day. A zero day vulnerability is a software security flaw that is known by the vendor but doesn't yet have a patch in the place to fix it. Such flaws can potentially be exploited by cybercriminals. That's why it is important to regularly update your operation system and software to get the latest security features and the hot fixes. Do backups on a regular basis to avoid loss of data in case of ransomware attack or any software or hardware problem. The next tip is not technical but still important. Never allow someone else to use your corporate device and always lock your screen when you step away from your desk. Now let's talk about another important point of the cybersecurity: social engineering. The social engineering attack is typically involves some form of psychological manipulation, fooling otherwise unsuspecting users or employees into handling over confidential or sensitive data. But today we will focus on the king of the social engineering: phishing. Take a look at these animated pictures. It has the best explanation I have ever seen. What is the phishing is? Phishing is a cybercrime in which a target or targets are contacted by email, telephone, or text messages by someone posing as legitimate institution to lure individuals into providing sensitive data such as credit card or password, etc. By the way, according to the SANS Institute, 95% of all attacks on the enterprise networks are the result of successful spear phishing. And as the Webroot threat report mentioned, nearly 1.5 million new phishing sites are created each month. Only in the first half of 2020, there were 540 reported data breaches in the USA because of phishing. Well, how do we protect ourselves against this monster? The most effective way is to increase employees' awareness. Cybersecurity training should be done on a regular basis for all types of employees, even for the security team. Here is some useful advice on how don't be hooked by phishing. Never reply to email messages that request personal information. Do not click links or download attachments in suspicious emails because they could contain malware. Also, pay attention to the email domain because typo squatting is a common thing for the phishing emails. Like in an example, always pay attention to the domain because one wrong letter and the link for your corporate Amazon environment become a phishing one. Please see a few examples of typo squatting on the slide. You could see GLT Hub instead of GitHub, or for example, Victoria's Secret instead of Victoria's Secret, and they are totally different. Look out for the poorly written emails and don't be hooked by messages designed to make you panic. Just a case as an example, that's happened with the Marriott Hotel at the end of the March. Hackers obtained login credentials of two Marriott employees while the phishing who had access to customer information. They used the credential to siphon off the data for approximately a month before the breach was discovered. The stolen data included personal details such as names, birth dates, telephone numbers, and other travel information. Such cases could raise a problem with the law and regulations, like a general data protection regulation. That's why you should protect your client's personal data. Our third topic is endpoint security and management. I will try to highlight why these solutions are must to have. I'm sure you don't need me to explain what antivirus software is and how it works. Its value is significant, though its price can be significant too. But it's like an insurance policy. Someday it could save you a lot of money. The benefits of the antivirus that it works 24/7 and protects your endpoints, browser activity, and transactions. And it has an anti-ransomware model to detect and block it. Finally, signatures of new malware are updated daily to detect and prevent it. Let's move on. Everything has changed since the beginning of the pandemic. Many people are now working from home, and I am one of them because I like it. But home working has raised new challenges. How do we work securely away from the office? VPN, or Virtual Private Network, provides you with a secure access to a corporate network while working at home or traveling. When using public Wi-Fi, even someone intercept your traffic, you will be secure because it's encrypted. If your company is in work from home mode, you must have VPN to access your network or sensitive data to be secure. And the last but not least, for securing devices at work is a solution that help us to manage endpoints inside our office and outside the perimeter. And it's so-called mobile device management, or MDM. So MDM is the process of the monitoring, managing, and securing mobile devices such as laptops, smartphones, that are used by enterprises to access business critical data. With the more and more employees using one or all of these devices, organizations of all shapes and size are now turning to MDM for enhanced data security and improved productivity. MDM has a number of useful features, like device security, by enforcing security policies, permission restricting, or prohibiting unauthorized application. and remote troubleshooting, or status reporting and dashboarding, remote wiping, and device location tracking. So, if a device is lost, your IT support can block the device, define your location, and wipe the data. That's how you can be sure that no one will steal your data. Now let's talk about securing devices at home. It's easy for all of us to assume that cyber criminals won't be interested in us and our activities, but there is a mistake. All of us could be within the scope of the attacker interest. Most of us use the social networks such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even TikTok. They're a big part of our daily lives, and all of them store our personal information, photos, and messages, among other things. That's why we can all be a target of social engineering, because of fun, or value, or a way to reach another person. Here I leave the best practices for the most popular social media platforms. They will contain similar information in form of step-by-step guide for particular platforms. And an example of the best practices is to never post any personal information that could be used against you, such as your social security number records, birthday, mom's surname, or what else? Name of your pets, which can be used as a part of answer to the security questions, or any other personal information. The next topic is home network. Our home network is a world where we use Wi-Fi to work, watch TV shows, listen to music, what else? Chat with the friends. We also have the smart devices on our network, like a baby monitor, or home fridge, or smart coffee machine, and all of them could be vulnerable. If an attacker gains access to your network using credentials they have got via phishing, or via vulnerability caused by your router not being updated, they will be able to steal your data, or spy on you, or use your devices against your someone else. It's really happened in 2016. A DDoS attack was conducted against two big companies using smart devices, home fridges. Devices infected by malware continuously scan the internet for vulnerable IoT devices or Internet of Things. They have used a table of more than 60 common factory default credentials to log into the device and spread the malware to create a bot network. And it isn't that difficult to protect yourself. Don't forget to change the default password to something more strong and unique. Create the separate networks for the personal use, guest, and devices groups, because all modern routers allow to do that. And update your software regularly. By following these simple rules, you can avoid being affected by or even being a part of malicious activity. Let's now touch another interest topic, smartphone security. Just like as social networks, our smartphones have become an integral part of our daily life. We use them for work, entertainment, and even preparing food. The phone is no longer just a device that used to call our parents or friends. It's now a powerful device that simplifies all aspects of our lives. As with the traditional PC platforms, with the mobile devices we need to protect our data from unauthorized access, trust in transit, due to traditional attacks on the public Wi-Fi and similar web applications. Without the first layer of security in effect, anyone who picks up your phone can access your apps and the data held within. That's why you should enable authentication, such as password or face recognition or a fingerprint. And don't forget to encrypt your phone to be sure that your data is safe. It's also better to secure your banking and corporate apps with a password rather than face recognition or fingerprint. Configure your device so that the screen automatically locks after 15-30 seconds of inactivity to be sure that nobody can access your phone if you leave it unattended. To make your device more secure, you need to keep your operation system and software up to date, and only over download apps from reputable app stores. Use an antivirus software to protect your device against the latest vulnerability and get the security recommendations. And be sure to enable the Find My Phone, Remote Lock, and Data Wipe functions on your devices. That's why, if your phone is ever lost or stolen, you can wipe all of your personal or corporate data from its memory remotely. Of course, it's better not to store corporate data on your device. Well, this is it for now. Stay secure in the real and digital world. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Thank you, Alexi. That was an excellent presentation, and we've had a number of these now, and it's really been neat to see some of the different angles that leaders in the cybersecurity space are providing for this issue, because there's so many different aspects to it. And so we're really grateful to your time to make that presentation and also be with us now to answer some questions and have some brief discussion. So thank you again for that. But before we kind of get started, I want to remind all of our participants that the Q&A function here in the Zoom platform is open to you. So please enter in some questions there for Alexi about anything that he just presented on. And let's get going here. I have had a couple questions as well for you, Alexi. First of all, I think I got your last name wrong when I introduced you at the beginning. So
Yeah,
I apologize for that. I read the wrong
not
name on
problem.
the list. Sorry
That's
about
okay.
but thank you again for being with us today. So one question comes in from one of our viewers named Kate. She says, "Do you have a recommendation for the best antivirus for cell phones?"
Probably not. It should be defined by, I don't know, maybe some top of the best antivirus from the internet. It could be Asset or Avast or etc. things, but I can recommend something from the list.
So there's probably a number of things out there if folks were to get on and just search for some of the best rated antivirus programs for cell phones.
Yeah,
There's a number of good options.
for my site, I use the Asset because I don't know, it's very cool, and I haven't some problem with him.
Excellent, thank you. I'm sure that's going to be something a lot of folks are looking at. I think traditionally we think, well, we need antivirus for our computers, but maybe we don't make the connection as much to our cell phones. So it's good to know that there are a number
Sure.
of good options out there. Another question that came to mind. So when we're talking about just on a high level, protecting your company from cybersecurity attacks, how would you say is the best way, just in a nutshell, to protect a business from cybersecurity attacks, especially for folks maybe who haven't really done much before? If they're a little bit new to this, what's the best thing they can do, or maybe the first step they should take in your mind?
Yeah, that's the good one question. I'll try to answer it. So the first thing you may want to do is having an annual security audits like ISO 27001 or SOC 2 report high trust or PCI DSS, which applicable to your area, to your business area. So why it's cool? Because they will define your gaps in your security management and processes, in your infrastructure and your systems. So as a result, you will get a report with the non-conformities prioritized by severity, which should be improved and fixed. Also, compliance with those security certificates will give you more trust from your customers, And the more trust is more clients in the future. So that was the first thing. The second is the security testing and internal audits, like conduct a penetration testing at least annually or half a year to define weak and vulnerable points in your infrastructure or in your application. So it could be done by external companies or by your own if you have the specialist. And the third one is to conduct a training, as I mentioned in the presentation, and attack simulations such as spear phishing or other social engineering on a regular basis to understand how good employees are prepared to such sort of attack. So, well, by doing these things, you will be on the right way to a secure company.
That's excellent. Thank you. And maybe building off that a little bit, and I don't recall if we've talked about this at length in any of the previous presentations in this series, but another question might be, how do you convey that to your business partners or to your customers, that you as a company are taking the right steps when it comes to cybersecurity? Essentially, how do you convince people, hey, we're safe, we're legit, we're good to go, you can do business with us or buy our services or products safely and securely? What are some of the best things that you've seen to help convey that message to business partners or customers?
Yeah, it's to be compliant with some kind of standards. So like if you say, I am compliant with ISO 27001, it's like security management standard, they will be, okay, you are cool. That's enough for us. Or you could be compliant with the medical, some standards like high trust or HIPAA. So there is cool enough.
And want to remind our participants to go ahead and any questions, no matter how random or outside the box it seems, feel free to please plug those into the Q&A. One thing to build on in your presentation, Alexei, talking about phishing attacks. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit that they can be dangerous. I mean, sometimes we might think, well, if somebody engages in a phishing attack and they get my password to my email, what's the big deal? Is that really that much of a concern? So can you build out a little bit, help us understand, and for our viewers, what really the danger is for phishing attacks?
Yeah, of course. So imagine the situation when you are a newcomer in the company, for example, an accountant, and you don't know your colleagues and processes very well so far. So one late evening, your colleagues have already left, and you receive the letter from the malicious person who is pretending to be your CFO, Chief Finance Officer, or for example, Chief Executive Officer. So he sends you an invoice and asks you to make a payment because it's important or it's a part of the big deal. And if you fail, it will be on you. So there is two possible scenarios. Like first one, you open this attached invoice, which apparently contains a ransomware, and it encrypts the assets if the network is not segmented. So the ransomware is a common thing for the last 5 years, so be aware. And the second one, you make a payment, for example, $5,000, and then the money is lost. So, and that's the very common situation when a threat actor trying to trick you by urgency of action, or even make you panic by threatening that you will be punished if you fail the action. Yeah, but we still have a third option. When the threat actor trying, so the third option, when the employee passed the security training and his answer for the phishing threat and his immediate action is to report the phishing to the IT and your information security department, move the letter to the junk, and block the sender. That's the best way. So that's just a piece of advice from me. Please be careful with the suspicious emails. Like in our example, it's probably not typically for the CFO to involve the newcomer in such urgent activities. And this is a sign for you to be careful. So watch the sender, pay attention for the attachment extensions. Like if you have any suspicion, you better do not open it. Better to notify your information security department or IT or who is responsible for such kind of messages, or ask the sender by some other independent channel to check it was him or not.
That's very helpful. There are ways to verify it's legitimate before responding and giving information. That's a good thought. But before we close, Alexei, I just want to ask kind of one final general question. Any additional recommendations of how to protect corporate resources? Anything that you didn't mention in your presentation you want to make sure is conveyed to our participants today?
You know, a lot, but I will highlight a few of them. Like, as an additional layer of security, the network segmentation can protect a vital part of the network during successful data breaches or some ransomware attack. If the system get compromised, you know, this defense mechanism limits the damage intruder can cause. Also, the good point is follow the principle of least privileges. Like, well, the idea is that any user or program or processes should have only the bare minimum of the privileges necessary to perform its functions. It will slow down the malware spreading because user won't have permissions to run it. And one more is to implement an intrusion detection systems to detect a known malware by analyzing network traffic for their signatures, and also intrusion prevention system. They will help you to deny suspicious activity, attempting to exploit some kind of vulnerabilities.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you again for your time today presenting and the preparation that took as well as spending a few minutes with us, doing some back and forth and answering some questions today. And thanks again for Alex and your company's participation in the Chamber and in the Cybersecurity Leadership Council. There's a lot of good work to be done in this space, and we're really appreciative of you lending your expertise, Alexei. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Stay secure.
We also want to thank all of our participants today for watching and remind you we'll be doing this again the same time next week with another edition of our ongoing series for the Cybersecurity Leadership Council Fall Conference here at the Salt Lake Chamber. We also want to thank one of our Respond level sponsors, Strong Connections, for being a key partner in this series and many of the cybersecurity initiatives ongoing here at the Chamber. Thanks again. We'll see you all next week.